But the point of it is that we help you get clarity on where you're going with the business. What are your goals? What do you want it to be valued at? What revenues do you want it to be doing? So let's take a look in a little more detail about some of these areas. Once the business has got to that point, it's now time for you to go and look at other businesses. And that's a whole other aspect. If you read my Billionaire in Training, it's about how to buy, build and sell companies, about what to look for. You know, that's ultimately a different game for entrepreneurs to play. Sometimes though, you've got to get the first one running first so that you can get to the second, so you can get to the third. Number one, destination mastery. Do you need to know where you're going in order to get there? Yes or no? So if I ask the average business person, and I won't put anyone on the spot in this room, but if I was to ask the average business person, show me the goals of the business, show me the, where it's going, what's the vision, what's the ultimate end point of the business, where are you going, what's the goals for the next 90 days, what are the budgets for the next quarter? If I was to ask the average business owner all of those questions, what would my answer be? See, the silence of all of you is exactly what the answer is in most cases, because most people don't have a destination written down. You know what most people have, when they first started in business, they were very excited and it was like, let's go and do this and achieve that and do all these wonderful things. Now we get to a point where most of them, you know what they actually care about? Can I just pay the bills this week? And that's one of the worst things. If your only goal is to just pay the bills, then guess what you're going to achieve? Just paying the bills. Nothing more than that. So make sure you understand what it is you're going, where you're going, the destination. How much easier do you think it is by finding the destination if you have a coach sitting there with you, helping you decide where you're going to go, asking you the right questions about getting you there? That's what coaching does, is it has someone from the outside looking in. One of the funniest things, I know there's some husband and wife teams here in the room, when we sit with a husband and wife team and ask them, hey, what do you want out of the business and what do you want out of the business? And the two of them want two entirely different things. That, by the way, there's some interesting talks that night at home, I'm sure. But the point of it is that we help you get clarity on where you're going with the business. What are your goals? What do you want it to be valued at? What revenues do you want it to be doing? What are the profitability you need it to be doing? How many days a week do you want to work? How many vacations or what type of holidays do you want to take each year? These are important questions that you need to know for yourself and for your business. By the way, there's no use setting business goals and then personal goals. One of the things we always look for is, what are your personal goals, and let's build a business to suit that, okay? Second area of mastery, the money side of it. Well, excuse me. Would it be an interesting thing if I told you that, well, put very simply, most people in business aren't very good at keeping a track of their numbers? Would that astound anybody? No, it wouldn't astound anybody. The challenge, though, is if you don't know your numbers, then how are we going to make any decisions? If you don't know your numbers, how do we actually grow the business? So oftentimes we've got to get people back in charge of the money of their business. Because until you're in charge of the money, how do we make decisions on how we actually will reduce an overdraft, or how much stock or how much inventory we've got in the business? Which inventory is selling, which isn't, where the highest profitability is, so we know what items to sell and what items to not really focus on. These are some of the aspects of it. How are you compared to industry benchmarks? These are some real big challenges and some big questions that business owners need to ask. How many of you are starting to get a point here that maybe some business owners aren't acting like owners? Does that make sense? It's like a lot of business owners, they're acting like employees in their own business. They're so busy doing the work in the business. Like, I was chatting with a lady just a few weeks ago, a hairdresser. What do you think she does all day, every day in her hairdressing business? Cut hair, doesn't she? So who's running the business? This is the simple question. No one's running the business. She's cutting hair all day, and here's the real interesting point. She was quite upset when we discussed this, because she said, Brad, I don't take home any more money than any of my staff. They take home about the same amount of pay I do. I said, well, hang on, you do the same job as them. Why do you believe you deserve more? She said, well, I own the business. I said, yeah, but you're not acting like an owner. You're acting like a hairdresser, an employee in your business. I'm going to get you doing the business side of it as well as the hairdressing side. Build the business, not just the job of the business. Then we got to look at the time area of the business. So if we want to get great productivity out of people, do we need to know how to manage time? Yes or no? Guess what? You can't manage time. You can only manage people. Time doesn't stand still. There's no such thing as time management. There's really people management. So how do we actually get the highest productivity out of the employees in our organization? Basic management techniques, basic management systems, basic leadership. These are the things that need to happen in order for us to actually make the business work. If we're going to double a business, you got one of two choices. You either double the number of people or you double the productivity. Which one's cheaper, do you think?
Productivity.
Productivity, way cheaper, isn't it? So that's what we've got to look for in this area of building the business. Then we've got to look at the delivery aspect. You know, are your customers getting their product or service on time? You know, regular delivery, is it happening well? Are they getting it with good customer service? The basics of doing it. Like, I was with a restaurant owner just a few weeks back, and he's sitting there telling me how his restaurant's struggling and all this sort of thing. And I said, well, hang on, let's just watch and see how well the people are delivering or getting their product or service. So we tried some of the food in his restaurant. You've all seen those TV shows where they fix restaurants. What's one of the biggest problems? The chef thinks they got great food, but what do the customers think? Not great food. You know, so that basics of delivery, whether it's about time of delivery, level of service, how it's doing, we've got to get that stuff happening as well. Once you've got those 4 areas there, now it's time to move to marketing. Why wouldn't we move to marketing before that? This is a really tough question for some people. If you do marketing before you know your numbers, does that make any sense? No, what are we doing? Selling more of stuff that we're not making a profit on? Doesn't make sense to do that stuff.